I watched a video about Trip Fontaine.
Black women have not been allowed to be the essence of what black woman is. We still trying to make black women, including themselves, like we still trying to make black women white women with Old Bay and Lowry's. There is no historical evidence of a docile, meek, submissive African woman.
Trip Fontaine was talking about, I think he's talking about relationship between men and women. But he particularly focused this conversation on the basis of men being leaders and women should follow. That was the basis. But his point was, throughout history, women have always been leaders. And this is not saying men hasn't, but that women have always been leaders. And I mean, throughout all time, no matter what race, whatever, women have always been leaders. They've led kingdoms, empires, military, versions of special forces. They become queens, even like the woman king, things like that. And he talks about how these days everybody want this submissive, docile woman. And he's like, that hasn't never quite existed. And it made me start to think, I don't think it ever has. And combination with that, I saw another video, this white woman had said she don't know why people think white women are docile, because it's crazy that, but she said if they appear docile because they was at home getting beat the hell out by their husbands at the time. Of course, it's not everybody, but that's what it was. But Tripp went on to say that he thought this docile Molly homemaker per se, that just listened to everything and did everything nice, was a marketing ploy to sell suburban America. Move away from the cities, suburbs. That's what it was. And then it got me started thinking, I don't know no super docile women. I don't think I've even ever seen one, not even on TV. Not saying they don't exist, because there is no 100% definite things on either side. But I don't think like this image that the manosphere and the womansphere think that what men and women should be in a relationship, I don't think it's ever existed. And I think people, especially nowadays, think something is good that happened in the past, or we tend to fetishize the past. Right? So people are like, oh, I want a relationship like my grandparents had or whatever. What you saw and what reality was usually completely different. That's why we all got those cousins on the other side of the town that we just find out about, or later we find out about. Because granddaddy, even back then, you remember women couldn't vote, they couldn't bank, they couldn't buy houses, they barely could work. So yeah, they really didn't have a choice to stay. And you see your grandparents when they're 60, 70, and they just in with each other, because yeah, everything is locked in. We've been together 50, 60 years. And you just see the old done with the mess version. But in reality, you really worked and paid everything because grandma couldn't work. Grandma couldn't have a bank account. Grandma couldn't vote. Yeah, grandma was always home because that's how society was shaped. Or you might not know, but maybe grandma was getting smacked up. Grandma had to deal with cheating because there usually wasn't anywhere for them to go. You like, it wasn't no. So stop fetishizing what relationships were. And in commonplace today, I'm not saying men shouldn't take care of women or whatever, because if you got the finances, you usually don't mind. You usually only mind when you don't have the finances. And there's nothing wrong with not having the finances, because the average American makes $54,000. Most people you know realistically don't even have $1,000. Like, most people you know can't go buy a full set of tires. So in this image of Molly homemaker at home, even you go back, you look at that shows like I Love Lucy or The Honeymooners, them women wasn't docile. I don't think there's ever been a time in society in the world women just shut the hell up. Ever. If you're a religious person, you even go back to Adam and Eve. She wasn't supposed to eat the apple. And she still did it. And for every man in here who's ever been in a relationship with a woman, you know, a woman ain't just sitting there and being quiet. Ever. Unless she's like physically afraid of you, then you got some other stuff going on. But no, man, I don't think I've ever seen these, because even when women are stay at home, they still lead in a way that they run the house. Like the man would go to work, pay the bills, sit in his chair, eat his dinner, doze off. But while mama ran the kids, ran the house, ran what we was going to eat, ran what you wear, even her husband, she would set his clothes out. She would tell the husband what we need in the house. And usually the husband like, okay, cool, here's A, B, C, D. He let her go unless there was something that he completely disagreed with. But usually the running of the house was the running of the house done by her. So there's never just one lead. It's like Tripp said, he was like, take for instance, you made all the money, but you just wasn't good at math. But the lady in your life was. You was like, hey, you balance the checkbook, you pay the bills out the account. That's her thing to run, because a leader knows how to utilize their team. But it was just weird because all that made me, this whole conversation just led to, I don't think I can remember or know a completely docile woman who just, even when a man is paying all the bill, that just sits back and does 100% whatever that man say, because I don't think nobody really want that. That seems like a dull, boring, forced life for anybody. Like you ain't got a mate, you got a hostage. So I hope one point we'll get past this 50-50, what a man do, what a woman's supposed to do. You do what makes that relationship the strongest. You do what makes your household the best. You do what makes you happy. So, for my fellas out there, this stay at home, most people can't afford to just have a stay at home. And if you can, let's say you make $60,000, $70,000 a year, you really can't afford it. But say you do, you're just gonna live a very tight life. You're not gonna enjoy some of the finer things, the nicer restaurants, the travel, the bigger house, the nicer cars, if those are things that you deem that you want while in this relationship. So, ladies, think about that. If you want the man to pay all the bills, it's probably not going to equal the life you want. And fellas, if you want a woman to stay at home and cook your dinner and raise your kids, it probably ain't going to be the life you want. Because the fact of the matter is, you just probably don't make the funds to make that happen. And it's crazy to think you're going to tell a woman to sit at home and raise your family and take care of you, and you can't afford to have her do that. Yeah, but so you need to find a happy medium, whether it's 50-50, 30-70, 20-80, 1-99, 1, whatever. But it's never ever been 50-50 in any relationship. And I'm like, oh, you tripping, you a simp. I grew up in a household where my mom and dad worked, but my mom work was completely optional because she didn't want to sit in the house. My dad didn't want her to work, but she wanted to work. But my dad still handled majority of the things that I knew of as a kid. And even then, manly as my pops was, my mama ran inside the walls of the house. It wasn't belligerent, but he was the king of the castle, but she was the queen, and she ran it how she wanted it ran. And everybody in that house got along with what my mama said, because she was the engine of that house. So these just my thoughts. I could be right, I could be wrong, but I just know, I don't know where this fairy tale, docile, listen to everything I say ideal of a woman has came from, because they have never existed for the most part. And if they did exist, they were probably closer to hostages than they were to wives. Because trust me, your granddaddy wasn't shit. It's a good chance your grandma might not have been shit, because just as granddaddy got a side dude, You think grandma wasn't out there sometime too? But nah, man, we have a very skewed, fetishized version of what we think the past was. And I don't know how y'all think this was some utopia life. When you go back and look, it's the whole Make America Great Again thing. At what point do your fetishes of the past, can you please pinpoint a time as a man that you thought women were the best? And I guarantee you, I can probably give you 10 facts. Well, that shit was probably horrible. Just my thoughts, man.